What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bingetown TV. We are back with another episode of Showtime's Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 2, Edible Complex. Now, today we've got Luke and Dave, which are your regulars. You know their voices. You got me. But today, Brian couldn't make it. He's away, so we have a special Bingetown host guest, Kyle. He is a Bingetown member. You may not have heard him on Yellowjackets. Speaking of that, if you're listening on Buzztown TV, which is our Yellowjackets main feed, it's easy for you guys to catch up on all of our Yellowjackets episode. We covered all of season 1. Now this is our second episode of season 2, but that's not our only feed. So if you're listening on Buzztown TV, hit subscribe and then go to our main feed, Bingetown TV, which has all 350-ish episodes we have. You can go on bingetowntv.com just to more easily look through all the shows we've covered in the past 3 years, all types of sci-fi, all types of everything. Right now, we're doing a Succession podcast. We're doing a Mandalorian podcast. We just finished The Last of Us. We just finished Shadow and Bone. So we've got lots of stuff happening. So smash the subscribe button on both of those. And now let's get back to Yellowjackets. Now, this episode had my mouth agape. It was on the floor. The first time I watched her, I've never actually physically had a mouth open moment for that long. But damn, we've been waiting for it, but it was shocking. No, even if you're ready for it, you couldn't have expected to feel how I felt. I don't know. So I'm just going to pass it to you guys before we jump in the episode. Whoever wants to start, please, by all means, dive in.
Let's let the new guy hop on here. Huh?
Yeah.
Let's get Kyle's thoughts.
Yeah. That works. So I guess maybe a little bit of background on my Yellowjackets fandom, I guess, just so to see maybe where I'm coming from. I am not as big of a Shauna hater as B Tom's. So Thank this God. Will probably be a little more of a Shauna, rather adult Shauna friendly podcast than maybe typically. I'm a big Yefe guy, as B Tom's likes to pronounce it incorrectly. Let's see what else. And I guess, I mean, and I'm also like everyone else on the podcast, a big Misty fan.
Girl.
Misty is literally my gal, so I'm excited to talk more about her. Just a pleasure to be here. This episode specifically feels very lucky to be my first entry into our coverage. So shout out to B Toms for going on vacation, letting me sub in. We actually get to watch them eat people. I mean, I guess technically we got it at the end of last episode, but just the sequence of events that led to the ending was like, oh my god, it just like kept rising and rising and rising and rising and rising, and the episode ended perfectly. I just had a blast. I'm so glad that I started watching this show because of our coverage, and I can't wait to, unfortunately, I'm sure this will be my last episode, but I'm glad that we get to talk about this one.
No, we'll have you back.
We'll see.
But to go off that, not much else to be said. Kyle summed it up very perfectly. I'm just going to reiterate what I say at the start of every episode, that this show is just fucking incredible. I really have nothing else to say. This episode, just mouth was on the floor, just like Kathleen. I knew it was coming at some point, just couldn't. Just watching it is just a different story. And I'm episode 3. Come on, where are you at, man? Where are you at?
5 days away.
I think it's actually hilarious that we cut one Kyle, coincidentally the time we get this Kyle to replace him, because I'm sure we're done with Callie's Kyle forever. So
yeah,
keep your head up, King.
Yeah, he honestly seemed like a good dude. I don't know what her problem is. She's the worst. I'll expand upon that later. But this was awesome, man, because this is what we fucking play for. We've been waiting for the cannibalism, and it got here, and the symbolism at the end was insanely well done and also disgusting, but also really awesome. So many feelings about that. We'll talk about that later. But great episode. And honestly, I was living for the modern day Nat Lottie stuff, because we got so many Travis answers. And I'll put that in parentheses quotations, because who knows if they're actually answers yet. But still, like all of that stuff was like big questions from season 1, and it was just like a crazy info dump from Lottie. So that's going to be really fun to dissect and talk about. But yeah, like obviously 1996 or 98, why am I blanking? 96 steals the show with the cannibalism, and Snackie is what the Reddit community's calling
Love
her.
That
Snackie.
So 98 is when they get extracted, which is probably why you had that in your head.
Yep.
I'm gonna say we switch it up this episode and start with the older people.
Okay.
You know,
fun.
start in current day, and we can start with Lottie and Nat. I think that's a good place to start. Because 1996 is so good. Let's end with that. Let's bring it home with the snacky. Okay, cool. So we're gonna open with Lottie and Nat. So I love that Lottie is like, it's not a cold. It's not a cold. It's an intentional community turning suffering into strength so they can live as their best selves. I'm like, okay, girl. She's like, it's not purple. It's heliotrope. Like everything about her. But let's talk about so I don't know. Do we have a name for Lottie's potential daughter? Lottie and Travis's potential daughter that got stabbed in the hand. Do we have a name for her or no?
I don't think so. And
Lottie,
I'm also
number one.
I'm out on that theory after this interaction.
I agree.
Yeah. So why do you think she's going by Charlotte? Do you think she just doesn't want to be attached to her old name because of the like being in a mental hospital and all this stuff? Why do you think they're calling her Charlotte?
Well, is Lottie a nickname for Charlotte?
Oh, fuck.
I think that's her name. Yeah.
I did not even think about that.
That's why we have the pod, baby.
That is so stupid of me. Were we really gonna start the episode of me being a fucking idiot?
Yeah, leave that in
Well, you
there.
can only go up from here. We're good.
Wow. Okay, great. Love that we started there. But yeah, I don't. This first few scenes of, you know, the smoothie and stuff, I think it's just like them getting some exposition out of there and what's happening. She's saying it's not a cult, whatever. I think we can jump straight into the flashback. Does anyone have anything?
Well, the only thing I wanted to discuss in that scene with the smoothie is just the power dynamic I guess Lottie has over her following, because I guess at first you're led to believe that she is very nice and peaceful and she's like warmed over all these people, but here we kind of get the opposite of what we had been seeing with her kindness, because she clearly has something against this girl. I don't know if it's the girl or this is how she treats everyone, but to me I saw it as like Lottie is kind of like she rules by fear and not just with all the love and caring that she says she does. Like I think there's a little bit of fear in here too.
I also feel like at least to me, it seemed like if Nat wasn't there, that knife switch wouldn't have been shifted on. Like she did that because Nat was there. Like if Nat wasn't there, she would have just completely reprimanded her and told her to get another one.
Yeah, totally.
But she took it this time and then dumped it in the trash immediately after, because she already knows Nat has that preconceived notion of her. And I guess maybe at some level it's kind of right. So she didn't want to show Nat that like iron fist bitchy side of her.
Yeah,
that's the way I took it, at least.
Do you guys think that like maybe Lottie is a little bit of a bitch when ruling? Like she's not as nice as maybe she seems?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And I mean, to be fair as well, Lottie in season 2 as a young version, right, is actually being way more zen and chill than I ever thought she was gonna be. I thought she was just gonna get kookier and kookier. Now, there is this like Wiccan stuff, as Nat will say, but she's being sweet. She's sticking up for Shauna. Like she's still like our cool Lottie that I like, and you want to root for her, but you know, like things are going crazy. She did go through electroshock therapy. So her brain chemistry is all, even if it didn't like really make her, you know, sometimes people go electroshock therapy and never speak again. You know, luckily she's a human being. But you don't know how that alters your brain chemistry. It definitely does. But I also want to say that nowhere in any of these conversations with Nat and Lottie, when Lottie's like, it's not a cult, we're like getting our best selves, not being like, well, what were you doing with that naked dude? Why were you burying him alive?
Yeah.
No, they talked about
they
it.
said it was one of her many treatments that were offered at the resort.
Wow.
But it's
we're just taking that at face value.
Like I guess I took it as kind of a mud bath maybe, but obviously they were burying the dude alive, so I don't know what kind of treatment that is. But
yeah.
I could see it being like more symbolic than anything else. Like they're
like
going there to
reborn?
change themselves. Yeah, so it's like the object or the idea of rebirth.
This is not talking about it enough.
I don't buy it though. They were definitely planning on killing that guy.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Lottie is that she's basically an unreliable narrator, or we don't know that yet. We don't actually know that, because everything that she says technically can be an answer. Even going back to the beginning of her scenes this episode, where she says, yeah, like, Nat, we were monitoring you. We didn't actually like kidnap you. You were about to kill yourself. So like, we've been following you for that reason.
Yeah.
She gives an explanation to every single thing we've seen and heard so far. And I guess that lends itself more to the Travis conversation, which we can start talking about now if we're good.
Yeah, so I have that exact note, unreliable narrator. So everything up until the Laura Lee bit made me, I was like, is it true? Is it not? Or what pieces are true and what pieces aren't?
Right.
Since we're seeing it, we're like supposed to believe it's true, but no way. And then when the Laura Lee stuff happens and she starts like kind of screaming and being like, oh, and then all of a sudden Travis is all the way up, I was like, maybe this did happen verbatim. But
it's so hard to determine. I think I was with you, Kathleen, and at first I was like, this is all horseshit. There's no way she's speaking the truth. But then you're right. Like, Laura Lee comes in and you're kind of left to believe, because Nat is also yelling in present day at Lottie saying, you're hiding something from me. And it turns out the hiding part of the story was Laura Lee's appearance in that moment. But again, why would Travis give her access to his bank accounts? That is the one thing to me that is a big question mark, because we obviously know Lottie is loaded, or at least her parents are, so she doesn't really need money. So there has to be something. I'm just more on the side that Lottie, I think I'm still going to go under the assumption that Lottie killed Travis. I don't think it was 100% the picture we saw in that flashback.
You know, the only weird thing, I want to believe in Lottie. Like, I like Lottie, and 100% bought in that it's sci-fi shit happening on this in the wilderness. They're 600 miles north of where they're supposed to be. There's all this shit happening. I believe that Lottie is actually some sort of like medium type deal. So so I want to believe in her. But as Nat storms out, Lottie has this look on her face. It's almost like when Taissa won the race, and she has this evil look on her face, as if evil Ty is there, knowing like, oh yeah, I rigged this shit. Like, kill my dog for this. Like, let's go. And it reminded me of that. Like, Lottie's face felt knowing, or like a little cheeky or sneaky or something like that. I don't know, but first of all, I'm really happy to have gotten a Travis flashback. Mm-hmm. We didn't know if we were going to see Travis. We hoped we would. We did. Laura Lee, I never saw coming. I was really happy about a little Laura Lee little snippet, because love you, Laura Lee. But so what did you guys think in general of all of this information, the NDE, like everything that she was saying?
So let's just break down a couple of the quotes, because there were some things that Travis's flashback said. He was like obsessed with the wilderness calling to him, and he just wanted to confront the darkness in the same way that Lottie did and that Van did. And he just breaks it down to the simple idea that you need to be close to death to really talk to this forest, to the wilderness. We'll call it the wilderness because that's what he called it. And this all connects back to the last scene in season 1 with the limbo, like in between life and death, that Jackie sees before she dies, and she sees this ghost of I'm gonna assume that's the ghost of the wilderness for now. And I think that's what Travis was trying to talk to find out what it wants, to take it, to get it to stop, like taking over his mind, whatever's happening here. So I'm thinking that is starting to be more like, I almost think it's confirmed that supernatural is a thing after this episode, especially with the way they shot the part that cooks Jackie, and then all of this Travis stuff. It seems like it's almost like 100% a thing. Yeah, and then especially with the Laura Lee thing too. But yeah, there's just a lot going on here, and I am really happy that they're going in the direction that I think they are, where there is like that what's it called, in between life and death,
limbo.
It's like the
borderland.
Whoa.
Yeah,
you guys
the
both
Netherlands.
dropped limbo at the same time. That was
it's
nice.
not whatever. It's what's the biblical.
It was wrong, but it was nice.
Oh, it's purgatory.
Purgatory.
Like
Jesus
where Harry
Christ.
Potter was. Yeah.
Yes, purgatory. I think that's pretty much what they're going for.
Where
and
Harry
like
Potter was.
Honestly, yes, Harry Potter
in the
was
white
there.
when Dumbledore has like fucking Voldemort as like a crying little scheming baby. Whatever.
God, so derailed off of just me forgetting purgatory.
Limbo and purgatory are I
think it's gonna be a thing, and I like that they showed that. Like, I think this is the true part of Lottie's story, where we're gonna eventually see brushes with death that are gonna allow the wilderness to interact with our girls in 1996, and I think this almost confirmed that.
Yeah, but we end the Nat storyline with she gets back in bed, and she seems distraught, and then she has this flash of paramedics coming and putting oxygen on what we assume has to be her. Now, you don't know when that is in her life. I tried to see, it was not the cabin. You could tell it wasn't the cabin.
At first, I thought it was because I was like, oh, because part of me, when I guess we see Lottie last episode and she's she's sitting on that stage in front of that lake. And I was thinking that they were back. Like she went back and built this compound where they were discovered. But then I was thinking there's no way that they would put Nat on a plane, like knock her out and fly her all the way to Canada from New Jersey. I literally brought
it up last podcast episode that I thought it was in the same location.
Yeah. And then, but the curtains for me, there were curtains on the window in this episode. And I was like, they wouldn't have, there was nice of curtains. Yeah. There wasn't that much light around. So I thought the same thing though. But I guess obviously it was her ODing or about to, or some complication with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I only really quickly want to bring up the ghost that Travis saw, because on this podcast in the past, we've talked about Taissa dealing with her own kind of ghost, and then the cabin being potentially another different ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Travis saw the ghost of what Taissa saw. So now that kind of makes me right. Like the ghost that Travis saw didn't have any eyes. Like I think it was the same one that Taissa's grandmother saw on her deathbed. So now it's kind of
thing. Is that?
I don't know if it's confirmed. I just took it as that was what Taissa's grandmother saw. But all I'm trying to get really at is that now both sides of Lottie's ghost and Taissa's ghost are kind of blending together, because everything we would have associated Travis to be with would have been with Lottie's ghost, but we literally saw Taissa's ghost. So now I just wanted to put it out there that like this is all starting to blend, but we just don't have the overall connection of why Taissa and Travis are seeing this ghost and how does it relate to the cabin and everything. That's all I really wanted to, because in the past we've only ever said Lottie has her own ghost, which we think is the forest, and then we saw Taissa's eyeless demon ghost. So I just wanted to put that out there, that something is connecting all three of these characters.
And I'm just questioning. I don't remember Travis seeing the eyeless ghost. I'm just forgetting.
Me neither.
I think it was during the suicide. I would have to go back to the episode, but I'm pretty sure he saw the ghost, or maybe it was Lottie. Did Lottie see it then? I'm 99% certain that the eyeless ghost was shown on screen during that hanging scene.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about the two of them, I'll just expand on what you're saying a little bit from my point of view. It's interesting because Lottie, as a kid, was experiencing things like that. She was predicting things. She's a conduit, a medium, whatever, maybe. She was seeing the future, maybe a little bit. Then Ty also, as a kid, was seeing the eyeless thing with her grandmom or whatever. So it's interesting that, you know, this theory of there being two different ghosts here or two different entities separate. It is interesting that it's happening, that you're saying, Dave, it's happening with the two people who kind of grew up with this freaky shit. So I'm in on that. Again, like we said last episode, it's not fully fleshed out, but I like it because I think last episode you said Lottie's is good and Ty's is evil, which I like as well. But we can get into it more when we talk about Ty's sleepwalking in the 1996 bit.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is maybe Lottie has the powers of the eyeless ghost, whereas everyone else is haunted by the eyeless ghost. Again, no, I don't know how we would connect that at this point, but eventually that's just going to be a prediction that I have.
Well, speaking of just like the overlap as well, I mean, like Travis last episode when he has his like panic attack and a little bit of those visions and he pops that unfortunate boner, is like he sees that same tree. I feel like you guys kind of chatted, is that the same tree that they laid the bear heart to? I definitely thought it was. And I feel like if you like his had the candles in it, and if you overlay Lottie's candle vision where she's walking up the stairs and that like sewer, like it's like the same thing.
The same
layered on top of each other.
Yeah.
And then now I guess we see later, we'll talk about it in Travis is like, he's having kind of layers of hallucinations of Lottie being layered onto Nat in the real time. Like his hallucinations seem very connected to Lottie's hallucinations. Or maybe hallucinations, maybe visions for her while he's kind of actively hallucinating.
There's all, at the end of the day, I was just trying to say there is a connection. That in the past, there was a little bit of a split on there potentially being two ghosts, but now I think it's kind of breaking down those walls and becoming one ghost.
Okay. All right. So we good on that storyline? All right. Let's move to Misty. She was pretty quick, pretty siloed in her own little storyline. This is getting to Elijah Wood's character, right? This is going to be part of Misty's arc. It's putting the sick in forensics as his username on the Citizen Detective website. But we start off with Misty. She can't get a hold of Shauna or Ty. She thinks they're on a spa day. Of course she does. So funny. She just wants to update them on the fact that she thinks Nat was taken. She's surfing the site. She herself posted the picture of the video camera to see if she can hack it. Putting the sick in forensics comments is like, I can help, but only if you stop dumping all my fucking Adam Martin theories, which is so great. And then really that's it until she's at work. She's like downing everything he says, and I'm like, you're being sketchy now. Like,
yeah, she is.
She's giving herself up. But I loved this little scene with Elijah, like him with talk about a cheeky little look when he passes her, like wheeling in. That could be a fake grandma for all I know. He could have hired that grandma.
I was thinking something similar, but I don't. I mean, I almost want to say that feels too far, but we know how crazy Misty is in the way that she kind of does things and how the lengths she's willing to go. And I wouldn't be shocked if we get like a mirror character for her in Elijah Wood that is like also willing to go to crazy lengths like that, like this grandma who's not actually his grandma.
Are we sensing a little bit of a connection between the two?
I would love that.
Are we shipping them? Let's go. I'm in.
Misty is bang Frodo. That is happening. It's going to be awesome.
That's the greatest sentence that's ever been
this
uttered.
worked out well because our house just rewatched the Lord of the Rings extended editions for the first time like a couple of months ago. So Frodo's been on my mind, and that's awesome. And he's has a lot of scenes in the trailer for season 2. So this is totally going to be Misty's storyline for the at least first half of the season. I'm looking forward to it because I don't know if you guys watched the trailer for next episode, but they're definitely going to have some scenes together.
Good.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, they're going to be clashing a little bit. It's probably going to have some sexual tension.
I hope they have a shared account on that like Reddit page or whatever. Maybe they combine their usernames. It's like Forensics Gray or African Forensics.
I love that. But yeah, he's acting like Misty. I think it catches her eye because he's saying things that are, you know, making her like pique her interest a little bit. And then
it's also like only things that she would say, it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking weird stuff. Yeah. And so she goes to get her lunch. There's a note. It's blank. And later, as she's cleaning Caligula's cage with a black light, of course, voila, she's like, of course, she can read the letter. So basically, he tracked down someone who's been living at the motel for a few months, and they're going to be fake FBI agents and interrogated.
Awesome.
Which will be a 10 out of 10 scene. I already know it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious. So this is obviously they're interrogating this guy fully about the Nat disappearance. It's just Misty is the whole. I mean, obviously we'll get to it, but the Shauna Adams storyline just makes my stomach turn like every time it gets mentioned and brought up. I feel like Misty is gonna fuck it up somehow, even though she's been the one kind of preaching like this is how you don't fuck it up. This is how you don't fuck it up. And then she's going to be the one that gets her wires crossed and ends up fucking it up.
Yeah. Well, Shauna's not helping herself at all. And that's a good segue. We can dive into it. It's really a Callie heavy storyline. No Yefe sightings at all, which is a sad day.
Just terrible.
It's a sad day for the Yellowjackets community when there's no Jeff, but
he's busy in the fucking chicken nugget department.
Yeah, he really is.
We should have made it Jeff fan group, not Buzztown TV.
That's true.
Damn it, we missed on it. Whatever.
Jeff stands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Callie is astral projecting through her life right now. She's sitting next to Kyle. He can't get anything out of her. She's being real. She is just vaping her brain off, like just going through it. Breaks up with him. There's a couple scenes of Shauna trying to talk to her, but Shauna is really not being sympathetic or talking to Callie like an adult. Like, you already talked to Callie, told her you were cheating on Jeff, but now that she absolutely knows this man is now missing, you're not going to give her any information. You're not going to say anything to her. She's really not helping herself out. This entire episode is like and I never say this, but it's a episode for Shauna, old Shauna and young Shauna, TBH. It's pretty brutal to watch, but she's acting stupid and it's pissing Callie off. And then it makes Callie go do stupid things because she's not helping herself.
I'm really happy that Brian is not on this podcast because this would have turned into a shit on Shauna fest. He's going to listen back to this. Sorry, V-Toms. We just, we're going to light on our girl Shauna here. You know, Kathleen just laid it out right there. It was not a great episode for her. Callie is still my public enemy number one, though. Like, I feel like she is not a friend to my characters, so I don't think like I'm down for all this. And like, it eventually turns to her just being the own rat within the household to the undercover cop, Matt, I think is his name.
Jay.
Which, well, Jay is the fake name that he used.
Yeah,
Oh.
his real name is Matt.
Yeah, because we instantly,
Kathleen
of
getting
course,
got.
we
Yeah.
instantly thought it was Javi, of course.
So we were like, Jay, it's
Yes,
Javi.
it's Javi now.
Yep.
But yeah, I
I-
mean, go ahead.
Good. I was gonna say for when he said Jay, before he said Jay, I thought it was Adam. Adam's brother was like my first guess because I'm like, he's got to be related and he's tracking down Shauna. Like, okay, Adam told his brother about this woman Shauna he was seeing, so he tracked down the daughter to get some information, and then it still could be, but it's not going to be because obviously he's working the case.
They
with
do
Kevin.
kind of. They look a little alike. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked.
When we said Javi, Alex was like, terrible casting if it's Javi. Terrible. Because like
Yeah.
He's a
he's
white
like
guy.
some sort of Latinx. Yeah. Like he is
Yeah.
not. That is a white man.
The casting for old Travis was really good.
Yeah. Agree.
He looks
Agreed.
a lot like him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how we get out of this, and it feels like it's only episode 2 of this season, and Shauna is screwed. They have her text, and there's just no way around that, in my opinion. Like, it's over. How is this going to play out in a way that is going to be entertaining? It just feels like Shauna's going to get arrested next episode. But I will say, the thing with so Kevin shows up, and they have that whole like pseudo interview because he's just trying to pull some information out of her. And man, I didn't think I was going to be rooting against Kevin this season. I thought he was. I thought he's like, I liked him a lot last season, but he's definitely going to be an obstacle. But Dave, I know you want to bring up one of the things that he says with when Kevin and Matt talk, and like they talk about the whole Callie interaction.
What was it?
It was the you like the Shauna respect thing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like the past couple episodes, it has been a little bit of like Shauna being a dumbass a little bit and not really covering her tracks. So I like that even here, although she has been being a dumbass, Kevin does give Shauna the respect that she deserves and says, look, we can't go about this just busting down doors. Shauna's actually a very smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take our time with this. And so I like that call out for Shauna because, again, she just has been not doing the great. She's not been doing great these past couple episodes. So just give her a little bump up.
And
Totally
for what
agree.
it's worth, I said that she's definitely screwed because of the text, but I think that there's no way she's screwed and she's going to kill Kevin in some way, which I'm
Whoa.
really sad about. I
No.
think Kevin's dead. Yeah.
Kevin was another character we debated whether or not we were going to see again after Nap pretty much broke his heart. And here we should have called that, of course, soon as there was going to be some sort of like detective work being done on Adam, we should have called that. But
I would say I feel like I'm gonna lean more towards they're gonna recruit Kevin for like the whole Nat disappearance arc, and maybe that'll throw his scent off.
Matt is
preoccupy
too
him.
like this new Matt character seems too ingrained in trying
Matt
to
might,
prove
but
himself.
I feel like Kevin maybe they might be able to convince.
How hard would it be to just throw Lottie under the bus for all of this? Like
Ooh.
if she kidnapped Nat, they could just be like, oh, she kidnapped Nat and also killed Travis and also killed Adam. Like this chick is a psychopath. Like let's just dump all of our baggage on Lottie.
It could.
I don't know how that would play out, but we'll see. I
don't think I want to watch that though.
That's
like I don't think I want to watch the show.
I agree.
go
That
down
might be
road.
that would be too straightforward, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
my guess is they recruit Kevin kind of as a dirty cop. Like he's going to now be like a yellow jacket and cover and try and go against Matt.
I think that's the half full, glass half full kind of look to it, and I think I'm on that side. I'm on that side too.
Dave, I had the same vibe as you when he was like, Shauna's smart, like chill, you're gonna blow this. I think, yeah, he wants to get to the bottom of it, but he does respect Shauna. Matt calls him out. He's like, I get it, the plane crash, you went to high school together, whatever. But Matt drinks Fireball, so I already am like red flag.
Someone brought that up. I was the whole Callie scene. I was like, okay, like she's pretty smooth. Like she's flirting like really well with him. Like I was actually kind of vibing with her. And then they get the Fireball shots, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then so I guess the premise is more of I was shocked. I didn't realize that she was in college.
She's not. She lied.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure she's in high school. So I don't know how she's
lied.
drinking at this
I said
bar.
the same thing.
Okay, that makes so much more sense because she like sips on the fireball shot, and I was like, has she ever drank alcohol before in her life? Like, that is not how you take a shot of fireball.
So, okay, they do say in this episode that Adam's only been missing for a couple of days. So that if we didn't already have a explicit confirmation that it's only been a day or two since season 1, whereas like we have the time skip in 1996, that aside, how is Matt capable of getting away with feeding this girl that he knows is underage? Like this is almost a thing where even if they successfully arrested Shauna, he's getting arrested and fired
Coercion.
too. Yeah, what the fuck? Like I don't understand how like him knowing she's 18 or 17, whatever she is.
Yeah.
Maybe he did know.
No, he did because he knows it's Shauna's daughter.
Yeah, he knows for sure.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I'll be honest though, I like him as a character. I mean, he might end up being an adversary, but I like his addition to the show.
He's dead. Him and Kevin, signed, sealed, delivered. Shauna and Hefe, they're murdering that, burying it aside.
It could go either way. I think our only options are Kevin's dead or he joins the squad, because I feel like when you're this close to being a part of the Yellowjackets without being there in the plane crash, you're going to be susceptible to supernatural shit happening to you. And that could either work against Kevin and getting him killed, or he'll want to get to the bottom of it and help him out. But we'll see.
Yeah. At the beginning of the episode, I was sad for my boy Kyle, head up king. But now seeing Callie, I'm like, you know what? He's probably better off in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
got
doesn't
a mom
need to grow
that's
up
making him
this fast.
fucking chocolate chip pancakes. He's living the life. He's got it.
Yeah.
So keep your head up, king. Stay the course. You'll find somebody in college.
The last thing I'll say too is I'm glad that the show had Callie slip up in a way that wasn't, I guess, like horrible writing in our eyes, because the past couple episodes we had discussed questioning, like, how is Callie going to drop the ball? Like, is it going to be really stupid? Like, this was like, yes, it was dumb for her to admit all this stuff to just a random stranger, but at the same time, it was believable because she's going out. Yeah, because she's going out. She's trying to drink away her issues. And then she's also, going through all this stuff. So she wants to let it out. And so I think this was like a clean way of them having Callie get thrown under the bus here.
I don't think she's not so anti her parents that like she wants to get them arrested. She just wants them to like be real with her and like tell her the truth almost. Like she got Shauna out of that jam with Kevin. She's not like maliciously towards her parents, like acting a certain way. She just, I could kind of see her perspective of like, something is very wrong, but like your parents are acting like everything is normal. And I'm sure that eventually would just be like, okay, fuckers, like, especially because she's so young. I mean, I'm sure it's super frustrating for her.
I'm a Callie apologist. Last episode, I said the same. I was like, I love this Callie stuff. I'm good. They were like, someone put her as the buzzkill of the app. Luke. I think it was Luke. Yeah.
Listen, I totally understand the anti-Shauna like perspective of it, but I enjoy her character for what she brings to the show.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's funny. The last thing I'll say, I'm sorry, is just I think it was funny that we're talking about how Kevin was like, Shauna's smart. But last episode, it was like a full-on clinic on Shauna being a fucking idiot.
Yes.
Trying to cover all these tracks. So, like, how smart, rather, is Shauna actually?
It's like she's so smart. She's so smart, and she may do dumb things, but she'll also murder you and eat you alive. Yeah. Like,
she's
that's
decisive.
The thing they don't know.
She's decisive for sure. Is it the right thing to do? Maybe not, but she'll fucking do something.
Yeah.
She's definitely book smart. Street smarts are a little lacking. Her survival skills through the roof, but street smarts are not all there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, leave her in the wilderness. She could probably survive, but murder someone and try to get away with it. I don't know if she can handle that one.
I can't wait for 1996. So let's dive into Ty. We'll get back to young Shauna. Adult Ty is doing anything she can to stay awake. She is ripping espresso, caffeine, working out, showering, pills. Anything she can. Now, she comes down the stairs and Sammy is down there, right? And he's playing with the dog and he's like, I walked from school. Sorry, whatever. She calls Simone. Simone's pissed, of course. But by the time Simone gets there, she's passed out. And now the first thing I thought was, first of all, you haven't seen Sammy in days and you're just going to pass out the second he gets there and you have some time with him. Obviously, like it was, what we saw later, it's a hallucination, but that was my first thought. So I was glad it was a hallucination because I was like, man, Ty is fucking up. Like, go hang out with your kid. What is going on? But yeah, like he's been at school the whole time. This was a really quick Ty and Misty got like really short scenes. But yeah, what do you guys think? This is like really bad. And we'll get to the very end scene after. But what do you guys think about the hallucinations of it all?
So I was convinced when I was watching it live that when Simone got there, they were gonna go up to Sammy's room and he was gonna be murdered. Like I thought she was
Me
going to
too.
have killed him, but
That
then
would have
they
been crazy.
it would have been wild. And then
Would have had to kill
instead,
Simone.
probably yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, they decided to go the Fight Club route, which I'm all in for. This was like a really cool scene. I don't know, was she? I mean, it showed that she was actually talking to herself, right? Like it wasn't just a dream.
Yes.
So it actually was like she was physically going through the motions and stuff. Yeah, dude, Taissa has some issues, and I think Simone might be dead. There's a chance that she could have died in the car crash, which
I could see that easily.
I don't know how that would play with Sammy then, because Sammy becomes almost like a harder character to write without Simone being there, because then Sammy's gonna have to be around all the time. So maybe not, but either way, like that ending scene was
Coma,
really,
maybe?
really intense. And if Taissa's not going to do something now, she never will, and she's probably just going to succumb to the evil Taissa at some point. But this is the last chance she really has, like as a wake up call to rationally do something, and I don't think she's going to do something about it. But I guess we'll see.
The eyes were looking red, baby, this episode. Those demon eyes were coming out. But I honestly thought it was actually a little obvious that she was hallucinating, that Sammy wasn't there. I think I even made a comment during the moment. I was like, there's just no way. I don't think she because we knew she was obviously sleep deprived. So the moment we saw Sammy there appear out of nowhere, I was like, okay, this has to be a hallucination. Even if he says he came right from school, I just wasn't buying it. But with like Luke, though, I thought it was when they saw the window open, they were going to look out Sammy's splattered body just on the ground with the dog. That's what I thought was going to happen. But
yeah,
I think him and Steve just fucking did a little aim for the bushes.
Where is Steve?
Aim for the bushes. Yep. Aim for the bushes.
Steve is actually missing,
Love
for the record.
My MVP from last episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dave,
also, did you not make a
pray.
prediction that he was going to make it through the whole season?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, that might be underwater. That might be underwater after this episode.
Really?
I first of all, the amount of coffee that she drank would have legitimately killed me. So
Yeah.
the fact that she is even alive is crazy to me. The second thing is the mirror look was really, really well done. I like that when she's like sitting down at the mirror and she's like doing whatever, and then the one pane like kind of goes towards the camera. I thought was really good, and that probably should have been maybe a red flag of like she's acting up in some way and not just like, because I took it as like she's knows that when she goes to sleep, obviously she's liable to do the sleepwalking and do crazy shit, so she's just forcing herself to stay awake, which is obviously what's happening. But I guess I didn't realize that she could like actively hallucinate while awake and maybe do something. I don't know if like the whole Sammy thing was because of is like bad Taissa woman in the tree, but like obviously she could flip it on when she's awake, in terms of like when she was in the car, she just started ripping into that intersection. Like that was not, she wasn't asleep, unless maybe she was. I have no idea. But
I think the demon just can get really pissed, and at those moments when it gets really mad, it can just come out, because you're like in the mirror scene.
Yeah,
the demon was pissed that Taissa wasn't going to bed, so it couldn't have like full control, or maybe it's time to do whatever it needed to do. And then in the car, while Simone's kind of like hounding into Taissa a little bit, that look definitely wasn't from Taissa. That was the demon's look for sure. And then leads to the car crash, which I guess are we ready for that? Yeah, that was I knew it was happening. Like the moment she's only looking at Simone and just focusing on the looks there, I'm like, car crash, car crash, car crash. And I thought it was going to come on Taissa's side, but it comes on Simone's side, which also I would not be surprised if Simone, they were just like, next episode she's in the hospital and they're like, look, we can't do anything, she's not going to make it. Or she's just so like, she's definitely fucked up, and then her anger towards Taissa is literally going to be through the roof, like never seeing Sammy ever again kind of shit.
I think I'd rather the latter. I think I'd rather her be alive and be like,
the latter's tough though, because I mean, I guess in the sense it forces the issue so much more than if she's like incapacitated in some way.
Like
obviously the most extreme version of that is her dying, but because she has threatened at least twice to go public with all of this information. Yeah. And that feels like that quickens the story so much.
Yeah.
If she's still alive, awake, has an ability to speak to reporters like that, I feel like it would be weird if like there wasn't, I mean, I guess to use a metaphor for the scene of actual like pedal to the metal, like her storyline accelerates so much in in the present day.
But I would argue that Kevin is doing the same thing for Shauna's storyline. So maybe it kind of works out. And like Lottie is doing a lot of this pedal to the metal Travis stuff for Nat. So it is kind of in line with everybody else.
Yeah, it's
That's
moving.
my question too is, did they ever come out and say how many seasons there's going to be?
Yes, I
feel
thought
like
they
it was
did.
3 or 4. They said
four.
4?
I thought 4 or 5.
5 seems like way too much.
I feel like 5 would be
for
too
how
much.
things are going.
4 would be a sweet spot, and 3 that I feel like they could. I think I said it in season 1 podcast. I could see this a 3-season show of this would be, perfect. 4 would be great. I think anything past 4 would be a little bit of overkill because it's only, I mean, they are in the wilderness for 2 years. Like, how can you stretch that over a 5-season show? Like if we're already at the pace we're going with it being months past, like it's hard.
I think this episode specifically made me feel like 5 and maybe even 4 seasons seems like a ton, just because like you're saying the Kevin thing kind of seems to be accelerating things of Shauna, because like Shauna in prison, how much storyline can we get out of Shauna in prison?
That's just not happening. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Like things like that. So like Taissa, this info becoming public of her, like that feels like it pushes us to Endgame fairly quickly. So
let me jump in. For 5. It's so a month ago, the showrunners came out and said that they originally had a plan for 5 seasons, and they think that after season 2, they're still on track for that. So that's what it sounds like it's going to do. And I'm
so
here.
Kevin and Simone
are
dead. They're dead then.
Yeah.
I feel like that just that's a little.
I can totally see it. Just like it keeps building of like the lengths that they're willing to go to keep all this information quiet, just keeps getting more and more and more deranged, just like the lengths they're going at the same time, the lengths they're going to survive are getting more and more and more deranged.
Does this show 5 seasons end with all of the Yellowjackets going to prison in the modern day? Because like that could be where we eventually get, if this follows, everything keeps escalating. Like Shauna's out here murdering cops now, like to cover her stuff up. Like it could go that way.
I feel like, not this isn't a spoiler, I feel like because they talk about it a lot of like the factions that they'll end up creating in the wilderness, like maybe they reform in the current day.
Yeah,
I feel like
I also think a lot of the 1996 will be heavy in episodes moving forward. I think that like Misty and Ty, this plot has been moving, but they don't get that many scenes. They're just tiny little scenes that we talked about Misty stuff in 2 minutes, which we never do. You know what I mean? So I think that we have 19 months to get through, or 18, whatever it is, in the wilderness. I think that's going to lay heavy. Like we were 12 or 13 minutes into this episode and we didn't see the current year yet. Fair. It was just straight 1996. So I think we're going to rely heavily on that, and then they can slowly build the current day, because the current day is moving slowly, like day by day we're getting. Whereas 1996, they're going to have to like cover a lot of ground.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah, they could be flexible, which is nice for us.
I want warm weather again. I want to see what it's like when it's not like them kind of snowed in and stuff. And I mean, let's, I guess, talk about we'll talk about more of that when we get actually into that story.
I think we're ready to jump into 1996, right?
Yeah. Dave, you have one last thing?
I'm a fucking segue machine.
Yeah, he doesn't even know it either.
My only comment was going to be that the one thing that really sucks me in personally as a viewer is the mystery of knowing, okay, who's going to make it out of 1996, who's going to reappear in the present day. To do that over 5 seasons seems like that would be so difficult. Like it already feels like we've already reached the point, unless they keep introducing Yellowjackets like Crystal, like, oh, by the way, like there's other people here on the plane crash that were here. The mystery of who's alive, who's going to make it, that kind of that only feels like maybe a 3-season thing then, if it's going to be 5 seasons total. Like I just don't think there's any way they can keep that mystery going for 4 seasons plus.
I would go as far as to say that that's over for me. Like they're pretty much done.
They're pretty much going to be done after the season,
like,
and then whatever happens.
We saw the 1998 clip of Van surviving. We saw and we know all of our girls. I don't think there's going to be any more surprises.
Yeah, that was just one of the big things that like I loved about the show, was getting that mystery. So we'll see how they keep the magic of the show going for 5 seasons, but I trust them. I mean, these seasons have been incredible. I think I'm fully prepared for them to do 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also opened up with that 1998 scene. We opened up the possibility of middle ground, like anything from 1996 to now. So
Yeah.
You're
who
right.
knows? Let's get to 96. Best part of the episode. We open with Shauna and Jackie having a little wee chat, in the meat locker. There's not much meat left. And Jackie asked the burning question, which is of course her subconscious, but what did you do with my ear, Shauna? What are you doing with that thing? Come on, you make it a little coffin. And she's fucking with her. And then it ends up just being like a makeover session. She braids her hair to hide the ear, does her makeup. She's staring at Jackie's neck, being like licking her fucking lips. Not really, but you know what I mean. And then there's the whole slice of the arm scene. So it's obviously Shauna doing it, but Jackie's doing it on screen because it's her hallucination / subconscious doing it. But wild. Go ahead.
This is amazing that they did the Fight Club thing twice in the same episode. I actually really, because Fight Club's the shit, so I love that. But that's what I was getting, like the vibes where Shauna didn't realize she's the one cutting Jackie's arm because her subconscious and her, I'm assuming she has the highest level of hunger because of her baby, like by far. So like she's not even realizing, she's like, I'm gonna eat more of her, and like all of that was like really well done. And I love anytime we get Jackie scenes, which we could be done
Ella
possible.
Purnell. I love her so much. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I really hope we're not. I think that dead Jackie, hallucinate Jackie, is better than alive Jackie.
Maybe
for sure.
Yeah.
Because alive Jackie was annoying in the sense that she was like kind of complaining that like they had to do things to survive in the wilderness, and it was like, all right, Jackie, shut the fuck up and go chop wood, do something.
Yeah.
And this Jackie's way better. Like I like snarky, no consequences. She's not actually there, Jackie. Yeah, and I feel like that is right up Ella Purnell's alley. Like she nails that kind of type of character. It feels like so.
A little
I
jinx
was
in
really
her,
enjoying.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I really hope that's not the last of her. I can't imagine it is. I feel like they've really pushed like the idea of hallucinations so much.
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's just the hunger, but I feel like it's going to be more than that. So I don't think that's the last we'll see of Jackie.
Like if we're talking 5 seasons here,
yeah,
this
true.
kind of Jackie could certainly be like 3 seasons. Then maybe at the end of season 3, Shauna overcomes that guilt of all this Jackie and then leaves her behind, and that's when we last see Jackie. But I think we're definitely going to see more.
Also,
of
it's going to happen when she gets rid of her necklace too. That's how that's going to happen.
I like that.
Good.
Yeah, because I mean we've had Jackie with present day Shauna hallucinating.
Yeah, that's true.
At the very least. So like, there's no way that's the last of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I will say though, the cut to like Jackie with the makeup, like dead Jackie with the makeup, was insane.
Yeah.
So freaky. Where
brutal.
did the makeup come from? That was
it's just like one of the girls' cases.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah. I'd be so mad if someone was just using the only makeup we have on the island to do it a dead girl's face. I'm like, maybe not.
The island was this the wilds?
Oh yeah. On the island, there's water somewhere. But moving forward, the rest of the girlies and Ben and Travis and all them, they're talking about Shauna again, and Ty's gonna go get her because they're saying like it's absolutely dangerous for her to just be out there in blistering cold with a baby and like we've barely eaten and all this stuff, right? So, more importantly though.
Hold on, I don't want to kill your momentum if you're going to go to the Taissa sleepwalking thing. Is that
no? I was going to say
talk about the bucket
fucking
thing.
Stinks in there, and they need to know.
But before you do that,
in the bucket?
One quote that I really liked a lot was Taissa saying, "No one's eating Shauna's food." Like they're all saying, maybe we should eat Shauna's food to mess with her or to make her like whatever.
Hurry her up.
Taissa says, "No one's eating Shauna's food," and everyone in the group looks to Lottie, and she goes, "No one's eating Shauna's food," and everyone's like, "Okay." Like it's just Lottie's law, man. She is just whatever she says it goes. So just wanted to point that out because it's starting to become, they're writing it more and more obvious that she's like the leader, the de facto leader. Yeah.
All right, who's shit in the bucket? Do we think? Let's get our
on three. I love on threes. Okay, ready? Who shit in the bucket? I'll give you a second to think. I should have texted this in the group.
Yeah, I didn't even. Okay.
You didn't think about who shit in the bucket? I've been texting Luke about it all week.
I didn't. I guess I didn't think that I would have to be put on the spot. I'm not used to watching, expecting to have answers to questions.
All right, just think of someone.
I'm ready.
Dave, you got one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Coach.
What?
Oh wow! I'm glad we were. I thought at least most of us were going to be on Taissa page. So I'm
So we
glad
got
we broken up.
2 Taissas from me and Dave, a Misty from Kathleen, and Coach Ben from Kyle. Which
So
where did that come from?
Well,
that is so
Misty's
funny.
so dead on. Well, not the whole idea of does it look like a guy poop, and Travis is like that's not a thing. But the idea of, I mean, the person who would have the biggest issue actually going outside to take a shit is Coach.
Coach Ben.
Okay.
yeah.
So like
Convince me.
for him,
That's
it's the easiest to be like, I'm just gonna fucking shit in this bucket. And I mean, like he's not gonna carry it out there. He's on crutches, so he knows
Yeah.
someone will actually end up doing it.
So
You-
Kyle
you
went
swayed me.
logistically. The boys went with Ty because she wouldn't even know she's doing it, which would be ironic because she's the one screaming about it, which is
Yep.
hilarious. And then I went with Misty because she's fed up of people being mean to her. That's just what I did. And I think she's crazy enough to do it.
I think
So she's
all
just
of
like,
those,
let me just shit in this bucket. And
all
fuck
of
up everyone.
those options have legitimate reason behind them.
Yeah.
Is there even going to be a situation where we can find out the answer?
Yes, there has to be. Why would they make it such a thing?
They're gonna
You
kill
know?
Coach Ben next because he's shitting in the bucket.
We'll get there. I think Coach Ben is definitely next on the chopping block, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So quickly, they very much, I think it was a very specific scene they did where they said something like, Aquila, where's the lantern? And they put, and then it's not the Aquila we knew from last season. They had recast her. And I don't know why, because I really liked Aquila from last season. I tried to look into it. There's really not much details. I stalked her, the old Aquila, on Instagram. Seems to be doing well. I don't know. Maybe it was like behind the scenes stuff. Maybe she had other commitments she had to do. Who knows? But they recast Aquila. I actually didn't even realize that they did until they like did that scene, which was great because I was like, oh shit, they recast because there's all new girls on the team. I'm like, oh, that must be a new girl, one of the
Right.
new girls, but it's not. It was Aquila.
I'm gonna
So,
be honest. Aquila already didn't get that much stream time for me, where I honestly didn't even notice. To be honest,
Well, that's what that was like an issue maybe potentially with season 1 as a whole, and then going into this is that like I feel like there was a focus on her. Like I feel like I would have liked
Yeah.
more about her, and maybe we'll get it because of the whole idea of she's literally only there because Allie broke her leg.
Yep.
So
I
like that
agree.
idea of that chance happening, like I feel like should be a topic that gets brought up at
Yeah,
some
I
level.
I think the same, and I like Tequila. I did realize as soon as they panned her, I was like, whoa, that's not my girl. Where's she at?
My girl.
Yeah, I like her. She's good. Anyway,
Okay.
and yeah. Anyway, so moving forward, Ty sleepwalking, right? Van wakes up, the rope is cut. We don't know what she even used. They talk about it after. Teeth maybe for sure.
Chompers for sure.
Van chases her down, fucking dope Van, just tracking her via her footsteps. And tell me that this guy is not Oren from Parks and Rec. That is like,
That
Who
is
is-
so perfect.
as soon as I saw it, I'm like the emo guy from Parks and Rec. I had to remember his name. I was like, what is his name? But
Wow. That
Let's
is a
talk
deep cut.
about
That's
him.
perfect.
is this who you're
Oren?
saying that you think Travis
Is-
saw?
Yeah, this is who I think Travis saw. as
Okay,
well.
because he
Or at
did
least-
have the
or at
fucked up
minimum,
eyes.
Yeah, or at least Lottie. Lottie or Travis is definitely seeing this guy as well.
Well, this is 100% the Taissa ghost. Like that's confirmed, obviously.
Yes.
But the thing that I thought was interesting here was it looked like the ghost was leading her to the cliff to maybe kill herself. Whatever. That's probably how Van took it.
Yeah.
But when they're panning away, you see that the symbol was on the tree, and
Mhm.
I can't rationalize this ghost trying to kill Taissa because that makes zero sense to me, and it contradicts a lot of the other sleepwalking scenes, specifically like when the ghost sleepwalks her up the tree when the wolves attack to save her. So like, it doesn't seem like this ghost is trying to kill Taissa because that I can't make that make
Yeah.
sense. There's too many contradictions for me. Are you guys like? Do you think the ghost was trying to have her walk off the edge? Was that a red herring, or like how do you think that plays into like her ghost?
I literally
mean,
have
I
no
thought-
idea.
I thought she was going off the cliff.
But does that make sense though?
No.
Your,
like,
your
great.
logic makes like if you're asking if does that make sense, like your logic, I
Yeah.
think your logic makes sense that because I think I agree with Kathleen. I think she was gonna walk off the cliff and kill herself.
Yeah.
But then that ties into what you were saying, that why would the ghost want to do that? Or
The ghost hasn't tried to hurt her yet.
unless the ghost made her climb the tree so she could jump out of the tree.
And
That's
she's-
like about it.
And she's
This
eating
is-
dirt to die on the dirt or something. Like,
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this is like going to add to the conversation a ton, but this is so the name of the episode obviously is Edible Complex, which is a play on the Oedipus complex, which I don't think the Oedipus complex itself matters a ton here, because that's
I don't
about
think so either.
That's about a son being in love with their own mom and wanting to kill their father. But the
Travis,
that's Travis and Lottie.
Travis and Lottie, kind of like
because
the positions that they were doing, like when Travis and Nat were having sex, there were some like motherly positions that Lottie was holding Travis in, which was weird.
So weird.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
This playing into the Taissa's ghost thing is it's eyeless, right? It has its eyes gouged out. The story, the play, I guess it is, of Oedipus, the original Oedipus Rex, is that he essentially is like unwillingly or unknowingly fulfilling a prophecy that he kills his dad, becomes king, and then while he's king, he obviously marries his mom, which is the psychological Oedipus complex part of it. But the other part of it is that he's looking for this killer that is like murdering people in his kingdom, and like a plague is happening. And the ending is that he discovers that he's the one that is killing everyone. And then when he finds out, he stabs his own eyes. Out.
Interesting.
That plays into Taissa shitting in the bucket.
It does.
Also, farther with the cliff thing is that his a big thing that he does is that he solves the riddle of the Sphinx, which again doesn't really mean a ton here, but there's one version of the story is that when he solves the riddle of the Sphinx throws herself off a cliff.
Wow.
Which, like, I don't know if like the pieces are there, but I don't really see the way that they connect together, because obviously there's an intentional like influence and thing about the whole like Roman like culture, ancient Greek culture, things like that. I mean, the last episode was literally friends, Roman countrymen, and then
this episode we see them dining as Roman
in togas.
I have more about that when we get to it, but the friends, Roman countrymen is, I mean, from the play Julius Caesar, and the full line is friends, Roman countrymen, lend me your ear, which obviously the episode ends with Shauna eating Jackie's ear. So there's something very purposeful about it. I have no fucking clue what it is yet.
Yeah,
like the Taissa thing, specifically Taissa, the parts are there, but is there any level of connection between them? I have no idea. Like, why would Taissa, the ghost, want Taissa to kill Taissa? I feel like, if anything, Taissa is a useful tool.
Yeah.
So why would it come to throwing her off the cliff?
Interesting.
But that would, I mean, but
more, I like that.
More quote unquote practically is, imagine just waking up on the cliff face.
No.
Like, like, where do you even go from there?
I said it to Luke. I was like, if you're Taissa in that moment, you're like, damn, I shit in the bucket.
You should know. Yeah.
That's just like so crazy. And I mean, good for Van, obviously, for doing that. And when they go back to the cabin, I just hate that, like, Ty doesn't seem to have the self-awareness to realize that, like, Van is doing so much for her. And Van obviously cares about the whole Lottie belief system thing, but Ty continues to just completely squash it and step on it. And like, this was just a huge moment. Like, Taissa was about to die. Van literally just saved her life. And I guess you could maybe argue that they're even, but I just don't like that she just completely steps on Van's beliefs immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
When Van is obviously trying to help her, and like Taissa obviously has a very clear issue that only Van knows about. It's just
and
like
Shauna.
kind of, Shauna, yeah, I guess. It's just like
Shauna can't help,
because I like young Taissa as a character. It's just kind of frustrating to watch her be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that leads us straight into the next. So the next scenes are Ty watching Van, Mari, and Misty do a little Lottie prayer thing. And then Nat sees Lottie and Travis do the blessing. And both Nat and Lottie are like, or Nat and Ty are like, ugh, gross. You know?
There is going to be a war at some point. It's going to be Nat and Taissa versus Lottie. And I don't know how that's going to go down. But those two are so anti-Lottie right now. Like, they are the only ones that are completely shitting on Lottie and her ideals right now.
Yeah. And before we get to Ty going to the meat locker, let's just dive straight into my girl Nat stirring up some shit. Travis and Nat go hunting. They split up. They're obviously frustrated with each other and the situation. She's very logical. She's saying, we got to go here. Over there is less vegetation, less game. There's going to be too much snow. Nothing's going to be over there. But he's like, no, fuck that. They split. And man, she The pants. I feel like he would know what Javi was wearing that night, by the way. Like, I feel like he would have went through his bag and been like, those were the pants from his bag. I digress. Either way, this is fucked up of Nat. I mean, I get it. Nat really wants to like cut any hope because it's not helping Travis at all. And Lottie's just making it worse. But I'm ready to do like 1000% Javi is fully alive. Like, there's just no way he's not alive.
Well, Lottie says it later, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, she gets cut off because Shauna's like, sorry, it lights the whole thing on fire. Like, all right, we'll get to this later. But yeah, Nat cutting her own leg and then having to hide it later when she's banging Travis. And like, you're going to get caught and it's just going to be terrible.
The thing is, though, they're obviously going to recover from it because in the present day, they were still in love. So they will get over it, which that was also something that I had thought of as well. But damn, points off for Nat, man. She started off unlikable, then it kind of was redeeming herself a little bit towards the end of last season and the beginning of this season, but now she's just back into like, damn, that's a little deep, girl. Like, I get what you're trying to do, but that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
That's like just such a blatant lie that is just going to get you exposed and cause more issues down the line.
Her intentions are good, but
I think my maybe potentially hot take is that, I mean, maybe not. Maybe you guys are on the same page as me, but I am starting to be so over this Nat and Travis thing. Like, maybe it's a case of just having binged this season 1 twice, and I was sick of Travis the second time so much. Like, I'm just kind of over this like weird Nat and Travis dynamic. It's just not doing it for me. It's almost the most boring part of 1996 that I just need something more interesting to happen. I basically just want us to get to the point where we find out what happened to Javi. And that might be a thing that doesn't happen until the end of the season, but I'm over this. And I don't even think it's that big of a deal of what she did because he's dead in their mind, in Nat's rational mind. And they should all be on the same page. Like, who cares? Like, just Travis needs to, I don't know. He's getting so into the wilderness, Lottie, Wiccan ritual stuff that it's obviously like the main thing on Nat's mind. And she's trying to help him get out of that because he's going deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm just a little bored of this story.
I'm bored of the love angle to it. Like, oh, are they, you know, they're broken up, they're together, they're broken up. Like, that part is boring. But I think when you add the twist of what Lottie has to play in it with the visions, at least, maybe not her physically being a love obstacle for Natalie, but I agree with you. Mommy. I think but when you say it, Luke,
mommy.
I don't think I would have had those thoughts without you saying them, but now that you mention it, it is like, yeah, I'm kind of over them being together. It's like either be together and support each other or just cut it off right now. So
they won't.
It's
literally, can you imagine trying to break up with someone while you're fucking stranded in a cabin in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere? Like, that's just like an impossible proposition. It feels like eventually your anger will soften and then you'll get back together.
I mean,
or at least your bang. And
Coach Ben did it with Misty, so
that's true. Well, Misty's a special case.
Yeah, I agree, Luke. I just think they haven't really done much. Nothing has changed since like episode 9 between the two of them. So it's been 4 episodes of this. So I agree. Yeah. It's been 3 months actually, but in reality for us, the 4 episodes, they're in the same kind of like mood against each other. So I agree.
And Lottie is making it more interesting. So you were right about that, Dave.
Yes,
like and the whole thing is like, it will become interesting again once Javi becomes a thing, but because every rational person in this situation would assume Javi's dead, they should just be like over this part of their whatever disagreement.
It's interesting though, because I agree that we didn't love Travis that much, but I still love young Nat. Like, I agree, like what she did was bad. I just think for me, like we said, Luke, we like to live in like the gray, so it's like, it's fine. She was doing it with good intentions, but I know this is just going to cause an issue later that's going to give me anxiety, so that's why I'm like, ugh, why are you doing that? Just like let it rip. But
it's just always going to be there hanging over her head.
Yes,
100%.
While we're on this topic, I do want to bring up the note of tell Nat she was right, because this kind of got me thinking during this episode that we see Travis is obviously starting to follow a little bit of Lottie, like believing in what Lottie's talking about and what she sees and everything. Like, Travis is kind of making his way from, oh, Lottie's a nutcase, to, okay, maybe she does have some kind of understanding of the situation that's going on here. And so when I think of it like that, I think of the note. And then I think when he writes, tell Nat she was right, I think he is referring to she as Lottie. Tell Nat that
Ooh.
Lottie was right, and potentially maybe Travis, in the time that Natalie was in rehab 5 times, that maybe he somehow dove himself more into the Lottie's cult, led himself to become more of a victim to whatever ghost is out there hunting them down. But I think that note, tell Nat she was right, was referring to Lottie being right about the wilderness, because Nat is totally like, there's no fucking wilderness ghosts. This is all Wiccan shit. Like, I think this is him being like, yo, Lottie was right about everything that happened in the forest. Like, it wasn't just us losing our minds. Like, there was an external force out there controlling us.
That's a great theory.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
And
Amazing.
that's like Reddit postable worthy.
Yeah.
And have people talk about it, because that I've never even considered that could be a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect that too, because there's no way to know the emphasis on the words in that sentence.
Yeah, you need punctuation. Punctuation matters, y'all.
Or something. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
point.
because when you read it first off, I think we all think that it's
About Nat, yeah.
Nat was right about everything, but
Yeah.
because Nat didn't even know what she herself was right about, so it would make even more sense that it was not even about her being right; it was Lottie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was she right even about that Javi was dead? It's like, yeah, you were right.
Or I mean, yeah, it could be that, like that, but I think
No,
it was
just
obvious.
kidding.
No, obviously, it's more about like the tree being or the ghost, the guy in the
Tree being. I like that, Dave. That's good. Clip that, post that. Love it. Great job. Great work. Let's
Next
get to
thing
the meat.
I mean, just one
Go
thing I
ahead.
want to say too is, and I don't know if this is the scene you're going to get to, just in general, obviously with the whole Jackie situation that then gets broken up, or I'm sorry, the Travis situation that gets broken up by the whole Jackie situation of just like Nat and Lottie, like they're going to physically fight, I feel like, at some point.
Probably. Yeah.
That's the vibe I get. Like, Nat's going to throw. At the very least, she's swinging. I don't know if
Like
Lottie's
Taissa
going
is
to
ready to-
return, but
I feel like Taissa is ready to throw too. Honestly,
that's true. Because they do that line that is, again, hanging over us throughout season 1 and 2 is when they say that like Nat is the reason why they got out or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just, is it because it's like something anti-Lottie, or is it like as simple? I feel like it's not going to be as simple as she just hunted for food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah.
but
I
don't
could.
know.
I mean, yeah, maybe they do the like that one where like that line is so ambiguous that we're going to take the most insane interpretation that like something is going to happen with her and Lottie, versus like the note where like it's easy to take the simple explanation that it's Nat was the one who's right, but it's actually Lottie who's right, and they flipped the script on us. Thanks, Dave.
All right, I'll push us through these next scenes because we have been going like there's so many back and forth between Nat and Travis and Taissa and all them, because this is where during the day Taissa finally calls out Shauna for all of the things we've been talking about with the makeup and the braiding of the hair and all that stuff. Couple things that I took away from this fighting, because it did turn into a verbal sparring match and a little bit of a physical confrontation when they're like kind of like pushing each other, but I think Mari is the one that, of course, it's Mari that's stirring this stuff up.
Yeah, really.
It's like this random comment that gets them to actually fight. Whatever. They're gonna cremate Jackie's 2-month-old dead body that night, and Taissa's like calling the shots there. I think also we have a quick scene of Lottie seeing the cut on Jackie's arm, which is important to know. Like, it's just queuing us up for like the next scene, the eating scene.
Lottie did fully support Shauna's decision of eating.
Yeah, right.
He didn't say anything, so yes,
Well,
that's kind of what.
Do you think that's why Shauna didn't want to take off the clothes? Because she wanted to hide that?
That's yes. I didn't think it at the point, but that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So, and then with the clothes, I just have to say, how are the clothes just not melted on Jackie's body? Like, how are they not just eating leather and fucking jeans?
I said
You
the
know
same
what I
thing.
mean?
I
When
said the
it
same
just must have burned right off. That's what they're saying. I don't know. But I was like, you're eating jeans. You're eating leather.
I thought I saw a little like a fray of some clothing maybe in the first bite that Shauna takes.
Yes, I saw that.
Could be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But also building the fire right next to the cabin is out of control. Like, just a huge bonfire inches away from the cabin. Put your dead friend right on top.
I would say they put it far enough away, but the fact that they put it underneath a looming tree branch like that was able to drop snow, like that was probably the stupider part. Like, they could have easily just set fire to the whole forest right there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I guess it's the winner, benefit of the doubt, supernatural. We don't know what's happening. Yeah.
The spooky wind would have figured out a way to smolder that fire for sure. Also, one last thing, Lottie gives Shauna the necklace. That's big.
I just want to say, I think it was perfect how the show had the sex scene going parallel with the wind flowing, and then the snowfall comes and like it lands on Jackie, and you just know right away that shit is, she's not getting charred anymore. That shit is cooking her to a perfect temperature, a nice 170 internal degrees.
Medium rare.
Yeah, medium rare. And
oh fuck.
I thought it was so perfect because when they light it, I'm like, damn, like I was really expecting them to start consuming Jackie, but of course the fucking ghost comes out, saves the day, and preserves the body enough for them to just for the body to not be charred to a crisp, and them just to start consuming it. That was wild.
When another quick scene we kind of skipped, when Nat and Travis show up and are like, what is happening? Like Jackie's just like on a fire about to be cremated, and they're like, we missed a lot, didn't we? Wow. Yeah. Brutal. But he
say bye to
puts
Hobby
Hobby's
too.
pants. Yeah. But Shauna's little speech was so cute. It made me tear up. Like, I'll never have another friend like you. I don't know where I end and you begin. She says sorry, which it's kind of like a moment of clarity for Shauna, because I feel like she's just been like in her own head and really feeling this immense guilt. And obviously she's still guilty, but it was a sweet moment, especially how they left things. I like that she like fully apologized to her. And I don't know if that's the last we see of Ella Purnell. I'm going to assume it's not, but if it was, she had a great run. Love that girl. Can't believe I had to watch them eat her, but it is what it is.
Let's get to the comparison, Kyle. You said you had some juicy facts or things you wanted to talk about with them wearing the Roman garbs or the
yeah. So obviously, the way they present the scene is we're going back and forth between some conceptual fantasy of them like dressed up in all of this kind of regalia. Travis is wearing a toga. They're kind of feasting on fruits, and it's like timid at first, which is perfectly paralleling them kind of timidly eating Jackie. And then it gets more and more like insane and ravenous. And just something for me was like, just like I said about, middle of this episode, speaking about the Oedipus complex thing, that it's obviously very intentional that they're doing all of this like Roman culture kind of influence thing. So I looked into it naturally, because I just wanted to know like if there was other people talking about it, and I found a absolutely glorious article on primetimer.com written by Layla Latif. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and it just lays out an insane amount of like parallels and like kind of like influences of like what is actually happening. Again, I don't think it's something that explains and like is easy to build like a theory off of for the future. It's just interesting to kind of think about themselves. Kind of like in their own right. So Bacchus, everyone who's a Magicians fan knows Bacchus, kind of is the Roman counterpart to Dionysus, this kind of god who's associated with drinking and orgies and all of these kind of things. But there was there was a cult back in the actual Roman Empire called, I don't know if it was actually called like something, I don't know the actual name of it. How about that? But essentially they had these festivals and weekends that were called Bacchanalia, where it was a lot of female followers, and they would go into the woods and kind of have like these huge sexual orgies, drunkenness. They would apparently, obviously this happened a long time ago, they would become possessed by Bacchus himself. They would poison people, do animal sacrifices, murder people, become cannibals. But the issue with that is, and this is a little bit of a tangent classic, is that like we get the perspective of someone 100+ years after it was supposed to have happened, who was culturally conservative. So obviously he's like, these fucking crazy people were obviously eating people. Who knows if it was actually true? But to get more back on track, just like there's a lot of like, they've done a lot of things that line up very kind of perfectly almost with everything that we quote unquote know about the Bacchanalia. So like even in the Doom Coming episode, they stuffed the pine cone in Travis's mouth. All of the followers that would go on, they were called Bacchantes. They would have big sticks with pine cones on the top of them. So that was like something that they would carry. So that's there. Again, they would have like feasts where they would like put, I'm pretty sure like animal heads on people, which is very similar to when they were hallucinating with Travis, when it's like become like that weird sexual thing where they see him as like a deer or whatever it is. So that part was was obviously weird. Kathleen, you just mentioned recently the spooky wind. They would talk about Bacchus's presence was described using the word bromios, which means the roaring of the wind. Again, the rituals with all of the masks and the music, a very big part of the kind of festival and the revelry was about this ritualistic rebirth, which Lottie is obviously potentially following with her cult now, which they're burying that old man alive.
Yeah.
Same thing with the bear that comes up last season and kind of offers itself willingly to them. That was a big part in that they would put food and water on the ground and then have animals come up and essentially bow their heads down. And then that would be the animal sacrifice. The bear literally did exactly that. Another thing is that they would prefer to have domesticated animals be the sacrifices. And obviously Taissa kills her own dog, which is a domesticated animal, her pet.
Fuck.
Yeah, they would, and then obviously end up eating said sacrifices. And then what is another one? And then the word that's described in the article, it says a bacchanalian ambition is to bridge the land of the living and the dead.
Oh, wow.
Which is essentially what Travis is trying to do by knocking himself unconscious.
Fuck.
So, and then even there's also a story. What's another one? A Roman general wrote about observing soil eating by the women of the Greek island of Lemnos. Which ties it in even further, is that the legend has it that the Lemnos women rose up and murdered the men as revenge, and overthrowing their king, who was Bacchus's son. So we have Taissa, who's obviously eating dirt, and then there's another thing of like there was a story of them like scratching through dirt. And like this white liquid would come up through the dirt, and that I'm sure obviously happens to Taissa in season 1 as well. So this obviously is on purpose. It's not like a mistake. Yeah. There's like an insane amount of connections and parallels there. So it makes me maybe not a theory, but more of the like this feels like there's like some spirit that is overtaking them, doing something. It's obviously more into the supernatural versus like the PTSD. Or like the hunger hallucination. So that's like I guess a fat feather in the cap of anyone who wants it to be
Kyle's
supernatural
corner.
hallucinations and things like that.
Kyle's corner. I loved that.
That was awesome,
also, Lottie's literally just putting animal masks on people's face during her stuff too. So there's like a million connections to that one. That is wild. I think it's exactly right. There's not just 20 coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
How did they used to preserve food back in the day? They wouldn't bury
salt?
Food, would they? Oh, it was salt. Yeah, maybe it
I feel
was
like
salt.
typically, it's more like making jerky and curing things.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if I for some reason was thinking like maybe the act of burying that man is kind of symbolic for how they would preserve food in the society, but totally a stretch. I don't know history that
yeah
much.
I mean, we'll see. But like I said, also like I'm just interested to find like if we get to like a next summer or spring, what happens when it's no longer winter and we don't need to eat people? Do they just like it so much that they still have these type of ritual moments, or is it more of just like a need thing? Who can say?
I'm scared.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Just in general, though, I mean, let's do thoughts on cannibalism in general. I mean, I'll do mine. So I think it's all right. No, I'm kidding. My guess is they did, besides all of that, deeper meaning that Kyle just gave us, right? The way that they did this almost Last Supper feast is to soften the blow and to not absolutely ick the viewers, right? So even so, as I said, my mouth was fucking agape this entire scene. But I said to Luke, I was like, cannibalism is cool until I have to watch them eat my favorite character. Just like it's like the even deeper sadness in the first scene of the pilot when they eat presumably Mari, who we think. We're disconnected to it, right? We're seeing the meat, and I even compared it to Luke in the 100. We don't know who they're actually eating. It just looks like fat slab of sashimi, right? It just doesn't look like anything. But this was so brutal, and it's the way that they all buy in at once for me that was so shocking. I asked last episode how it was going to go. Was it going to be a group decision, a huge argument? Was it like Lottie saying we have to do it? Would Shauna trick them into eating it? I really didn't know how the first bite was going to be had, besides obviously Shauna eating the ear, which was crazy. But I really thought it was going to be a bigger conversation. And it was not a conversation. Shauna said she wants us to, and they all dug in. And, watching them all smell it, and Van is like, what is that? Like, it must have just been absolutely glorious to smell something cooking when they're starving to death.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we see Ben Scott sit it out, right? And he's absolutely next. But
He's so dead. Yeah,
imagine watching this happen. Like, he's the adult there. He is watching these people rip into human flesh. I mean, put yourself in his shoes for a second, and it is unbearable. Like, absolutely unbearable. And he's obviously just not going to do this. And I can't wait for the conversation they're going to have next episode, because that's what I'm looking forward to the most. What is the conversation that's going to be had post eating Snackie?
So I don't think that this is going to be like a open the floodgate situation where now everybody's on the menu, whoever steps out of line. I think it's more, it was more of a situation like they took the opportunity that was presented for themselves. I think another malicious kill into eating someone in a cannibalistic way is what's gonna take to actually open the floodgates. Like, they're not just gonna be like, all right, like, we're starving, who's next? I think like it was just a coincidence that Jackie died and the forest presented itself to them, whatever. Like, there's gonna be another trigger moment that's gonna happen, and it could be a result of the war between Lottie and versus Taissa, and like however that plays out.
Yeah,
Look.
I think it's simple. And sorry, Dave, if it devolves into who's on the menu next, and just like Misty would obviously be the next person that they would just kill and eat. It feels like she would be the logical next step. I mean, I love her, but obviously in this situation of them, they would be like, okay, Misty, you're next.
Yeah.
Look, I think Ben Scott had the total realistic reaction. Obviously any one of us would be in that situation, but the question I'm asking is, why did he react that way when everyone else was so willing to just commit to it? Like, what was the forest spirit? Is the forest spirit just not interested in him? Does the forest spirit know he's the next victim, so he didn't, quote unquote, possess him like he did possess all the other kids? Like, obviously he was in the right. Like, none of the normal reaction would be, what the fuck are these people doing? But he was the only one that had that reaction. So why was he so hesitant on it? Was he not possessed?
So I think the obvious thing is that he's not an adolescent, right? Like, maybe younger brains are more susceptible to whatever's happening. He's an adult. He's maybe early 30s, I would assume. So maybe it has something to do with that. It might not be that simple, but that's just the easy difference, right then and there.
Yeah, that was honestly what I was thinking too. I just wasn't sure if anyone else had thought it would maybe be a little deeper. But do you think, I guess to go off that, do you think the ghost then, it's just like he's just immune to the ghost possession?
I don't think it's a possession thing. I think they're just hungry and they have
I agree.
He's probably hungry too.
Yeah, but like he has the maturity and experience like of being, I don't know, just being capable of mentally holding himself off. I'm sure if this continued on, like, he would have no choice and like he would be overcome by it. But I don't think
ambiguity that we've loved so much with Yellowjackets, that could it be a possession? Like, were they all possessed, or was it just that they were just, like you said, maybe less so experienced in these situations that they just felt the need to do whatever? Because Kathleen said it, like, there was no discussion. Like, I thought it would have been at least a discussion amongst like half the group being like, yeah, we should eat her, half of them being like, nah, but they all silently just did it. Like, Shauna said, no hesitation. Shauna said one thing and no one even questioned, like, what the fuck are you talking about, Shauna? Like, they were all just like, yeah, you're totally right. Like, let's just
especially because it was she wants us to, not like I think we should do this maybe because we're running out of meat. Like, it was the reasoning was that dead Jackie told them to, and they were all like, all right, let's get it.
Let's fucking go. Yeah. How did you guys feel watching them eat her, though? What was your emotions?
I'm hungry.
Jesus. I don't know. I mean, I guess just like a general disgust, but at the very least, she was cooked.
Yeah, true.
It was definitely disgusting watching, and I think the orange, as surprisingly as it was probably, like, for me, the skeeviest comparison that they did, because you're peeling back
Oh,
the
yeah.
orange skin, which is kind of like you're peeling back the layers of the skin to get to the actual cooked meat. And it's like that was for me was visibly the grossest part because I could just picture them just like digging their nails in Jackie and just like, ripping everything off. It's like, fuck. What a great comparison, but so horrible.
I had a thought, and this theory probably is just a total dart throw, but first time I had this thought was watching this episode was what if like we love the red herring and the double writing that everything can be taken as by these writers, like they're so good at it, making everything it could, you know, like you think you're looking at one thing and it's the other thing. What if like everything to this point has been a red herring and Shauna is the antler queen? And the reason I am even saying that is because she did take the first bite here and she took the first bite last episode, whatever, but this is the first time where they weren't like looking to Lottie and they looked at her and she was the one like kind of like leading this. So maybe, I don't know, she could be the leader of the cannibals and Lottie's whole spiritual thing could be something completely separate. It has nothing to do with it. And it's just like a whole red herring. I keep using that term, but that's just saying, just put it out there because there's nothing to stand on besides this final scene and Shauna biting the first bite. Just saying, it would be interesting if they took that route.
Alex said the same thing.
I like that you put it on the board. Keep it on the board because I mean I still think that Lottie is the antler queen because of the one scene that just stands out to me is when she turns her head and there's the antlers behind her. But I think that's actually a really cool theory because that would be a twist that I just didn't see coming, but it would make sense here because you're right. Shauna was the leader of the decision of let's eat Jackie and was the first to do so.
Would be fun.
It would be fun.
Do you think they ate all of her? There's got to be leftovers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They have to save some.
Yeah. I wonder what reheated Jackie tastes like.
Ugh. Good God.
Definitely not as good
Jackie
as fresh
stew.
Jackie.
No one is touching Ben Scott's meal. No one is. They're saving it for him.
He knows that if they're willing to, like, I feel like he knows there's a chance that he could be someone that they eat.
Yeah, totally. That's part of the reaction as well.
I'm so curious to know. I just want to see the interactions between him now and the rest of them in this next episode. Like, is he just gonna just completely avoid all of them now and be like, you guys are fucking crazy? Or is he like pretend like nothing happens? I'm interested,
to see. I feel like Nat is gonna be someone that's like, okay, so like, are we gonna fucking talk about the fact that we ate Jackie? Like, what is gonna happen with that? If she's gonna be someone, I think. Because I maybe they didn't have time for it, but like we're saying, they kind of all just dug in, and I feel like she would have been someone that would have been like, let's slow her down a second here.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe the hunger just does something crazy too.
I could have seen Nat and Ben being the two that didn't do it. Like I could have seen her be hanging back with Ben being like, what the fuck? Because everyone else, sure, but Nat's been the one that's like, fuck this the whole time. So yeah, we'll see. I can't wait for episode 3 to have this conversation. There's definitely going to be a conversation had because I think they're all going to be sick probably. Like I would assume they get sick somehow, even if it's just like a subconscious thing. Like I can't believe we fucking ate Jackie and are like puking and stuff. But it could also be like if you eat human flesh, I know it was cooked, but like I don't know the science, but I assume you've never had it before. Who knows how it's going to sit in your stomach especially when you're absolutely starving to death. Which is just weird. So,
I mean, they say when, like, if you're like Kyle, like a pescatarian or vegetarian for, X number of years or months and you have meat for the first time in that amount of time, like you do get sick from it. So it's very possible that because they haven't been exposed to as much meat in their daily lives and they're just consuming it all at once that, they get some kind of like mad cow disease, but from a human.
Medical news today says that, where is it? Oh, wait, let me get the actual funny line. Although it may seem wrong, in quotes, which is interesting to put that in quotes because it is wrong. The good news is that consuming cooked human flesh is no more dangerous than eating the cooked flesh of other mammals.
Wow.
Makes sense. I mean, mammals are already pumped with like steroids in today's society and we're eating those steroids. So like, what's the difference if like they're eating it, we're eating it? Yeah.
That's very
anyway, what are our final thoughts before we get into Buzzkill of the episode and MVP of the episode? Anything?
I don't have anything to add. It's just great, great episode. I think this one was rated I don't have the number in front of me, but higher than last episode. And last episode was already the second highest of the whole series. So
it was definitely up there for one of my favorite episodes for sure.
Yeah.
Trending.
All right, Luke, start us off.
All right, for MVP and Buzzkill, does it matter which one? Both of them?
Go ahead. Rock it.
Okay. I thought I was not going to be first, so I took a not low-hanging fruit for MVP. I actually said Coach Ben because I couldn't find an easy answer for MVP. Buzzkill was easier for me, but I really couldn't think of anything, and I really enjoyed Coach Ben's small reactions, and like how that kind of sets up the future of his character's plot path. Like we've been just talking about right there. Like I think he is definitely on the menu next. So, and all of these like little moments, and he had a really funny moment too when he reacted to
when they
the
start
makeup.
Yeah, when they pull out the body and they see the makeup and they're just
he's like Jesus.
They have been she has been braiding her hair and putting on makeup on Jackie's dead body. And he's just like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a weak answer for MVP, but I do anytime Coach Ben gets screen time, I'm pretty happy about it. But better answer here is for Buzzkill. I talked about it earlier in the pod. I'm picking Kevin because I think he is going to be he's probably going to die this season because of how much of an adversary he is to Shauna. And yeah, I wish he was fully team Buzzkill or Buzzkill team Yellowjackets.
Yeah, Buzztown.
Yeah,
team
instead,
Buzztown.
I don't see a path out of this where he's going to live and not be on their side. So Kevin.
I'm jumping in here because I don't want to look like a fool like I did last week with my LVP and MVPs. So LVP, take the low hanging fruit, Callie for, spilling the beans on the situation, and then MVP will throw it to Van for saving Taissa's life.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So without her saving Taissa, the show might not be as interesting as it would be in the finale. So
there you go.
MVP, Van.
Hi.
Am I next? I was going to say my MVP was going to be Van for the exact same reason.
I didn't want to be in that position again this week. So I was like, I'm going now.
So my MVP is gonna be I'm gonna say Travis.
Wow,
because Travis got laid. So
young Travis.
Shout out to Travie boy. I just also just want to say that it's funny that he literally took saying like the wrong name in bed to the most insane level of literally hallucinating another woman, and getting away with it. So shout out to my boy. And then Buzzkill. Buzzkill is going to be, I'm gonna say Adult Shauna.
Damn it, that's mine.
Yeah, fuck you.
That's fine.
Because that scene with Kevin was like, oh my god, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I felt very uncomfortable watching it, and just because she was just kind of floundering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you need a lawyer for? Oh, I watch too much TV nowadays.
Yeah,
she looks at the table and she brought him the cake that says "I want a lawyer" from Misty, and she's like, pushes it in the trash. Never mind. My Buzzkill is gonna be Shauna, so I'm gonna switch it to Matt, aka Jay, aka Cop. He's just like a rookie, he's a overzealous rookie. He said he's only been on the job for a year. He drinks fucking Fireball. He's serving underage teens. So he's ready to break the rules.
Seriously, holy shit.
Yeah. So I'm going to give him the LVP, and then my MVP is going to be young Ty. I think, first of all, actress, incredible acting, especially when she's screaming at Shauna, just being but she's doing it in a way that you can really tell she cares for Shauna. And it's not just being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're insane. It's like, you got to stop this. Lottie's when Lottie's like, that was her best friend. And Shauna's like, sorry. And Ty's like, I get it, but no, we have to stop this. She's the only logical voice. And I also think the sleepwalking is just so cool. It adds another layer. I understand it. I sleepwalk. I get it. And I hope she didn't shit in the bucket. But young Ty, I think had a great episode in interestingness, in acting, and in just being sweet and, tough loving Shauna when she needed it.
Kyle, I'm actually pissed I saw your MVP as Van because there is a clear MVP in this episode that none of us brought up, and it's Snackie.
Oh.
He takes one for the
Snacky.
team to help the others survive, so it's got to be. I'll change mine from Van to
That's a good
Snackie.
one.
I was gonna try and guess it, but I was not gonna say Snacky.
When you said the S sound, I thought you were gonna say Steve again.
Yeah, Steve.
I was probably thinking of
okay.
Steve. I was probably thinking of
Hashtag
Steve.
where is Steve?
Steve
Justice
might have
for Steve.
Steve might have turned into a Snacky for Taissa.
Big time. All right. That is our episode 2 coverage on Yellowjackets. Again, if you're listening on Buzztown TV, which is our strictly Yellowjackets feed, hit subscribe and go check out our Bingetown TV feed. It has all of our other shows. Again, we've got lots of things rocking. We've got Shadow and Bone, Mandalorian. We're doing Succession, which we're having a lot of fun with. That's another amazing Sunday night show, which we're just like, we dress up, go watch us on YouTube. It's good stuff. But yeah, that is the episode. We'll be back next week with episode 3. Hit subscribe on anything you're listening on, follow us on all of our socials, Bingetown TV. And yeah, that's the episode. We are Bingetown TV. Thanks for listening.
Word up.
All right, squad.